So just the squat?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I know you've been squatting on your heels for a long time. You've got those basketball ankles that don't bend. I'm gonna have you do the same thing with heel lifts. So just throw your heels on there and show me. Sorry, wrong heels. Those are toes. Oh, there you go. Yeah, you got it. Yeah, toes on the ground. There you go. So it just takes your ankle from there right to that position. That feels easier.
Oh my gosh. You've changed my life.
Can anyone else see how much like more comfortable that looks? Ooh. And for the people at home, I'm looking at the knee relative to the front of the toe. So give me one more. Keep going down. So maybe the knee is going 1 inch over the toe. I'm also looking at how Dane folds. He gets really flat with his back. So his spine goes like that. Okay. Back to here, yeah, let's see. Okay. So first thing for everybody at home, nice and slow, knee, toe. Look at that. The knee is like here. So that we sent the knee way over the toe by adding the heel lift. All right, head back up. So, and then spine, right? Last time we remember we got flat, he was able to stay nice and tall now. Now there's a couple reasons why Dane couldn't do this without the heel lift. Basically, you could have tightness in the ankles. Like that could be like part of what's happening. You could have tightness in the hips, that could be part of what's happening. Or you could genetically just have longer femurs, which I actually think that is the case. And some people with longer femurs actually just have different like levers, and so different centers of gravity make a different impact. And so that's why like there are some people like who are going to struggle a little bit with like hip hinge and back health like longer term because of their longer levers. And there are going to be some strength coaches who are going to have to like deal with the fact that not everyone can squat per se, or not everyone can squat with like the traditional Olympic lifting proper biomechanic of squatting, because people are different. So
this is amazing.
Yeah, so for me, I'm fine with this. Like some people don't like adding accessories or anything that modifies. They say it's like unnatural, or like they don't like wrist straps, they don't like heel wedges or anything like that. But I completely disagree. If you can operate and be better there, then you don't have to go through the 1 to 7 hours worth of ankle and hip treatments necessary in order to get you to the point where you don't like require an ankle support. And also, like if we back weighted you, which you probably do back squats, not front squats, right? Yeah. If we back weighted you, it would precipitate the problem, and you'd get a lot flatter anyways. So I probably want to teach you a front squat, and you could get away with a lower heel lift than a front squat because the weight pulls you forward. It changes like what you require from your own ankles. But yeah, for where you're at today, this is what makes sense for you. So we'll start with a bucket squat because there's some nuances to how to wrist position with a barbell front squat. And bucket squats just get the job done, or some people call them goblet squats, just holding a dumbbell. So what I'm going to get you to do is hold this guy like this. Your up tempo, I want you to have jump intent. Meaning you are going to move at a pace to which you would move if you were going to jump. You're just not going to end up jumping, right? So normally if a person's going to jump, right, they're not going to go, right? Like they're going to be, there's a natural deceleration, acceleration. So I want you to have that intent. You're just going to kill your force right as you get to the top. Yeah. And then when you smooth on the way down. Smooth on the way down. So forget the jump piece for the way down, yeah. tendency that I want right here. Okay. So do me a favor, take, your abs connect your ribs and your hips, right? So lower ab training is bringing the pelvis up towards the ribs. Upper ab training is bringing the ribs towards the pelvis, right? So what I'm gonna have you do is do both. You're gonna simultaneously connect those two locations. And then so as you go down, what's happening is you're getting really archy, and then you're actually levering through your back. And for a jumper, I don't actually mind it a ton because there is a bit of that with jumping, but for the purpose of this, I want to keep our focus on patterns of the legs. So I'm just going to get you to lock those two down, particularly as you head into the pocket of the exercise. Still arching. So that was good on the way up. Just I want you to like you're here and you're there and then up. All right, I want you here and then I want you to almost tuck your pelvis and shoot your hips. Even more. So as you come up, tuck your pelvis from the abs.
That's hard as heck.
Hard as heck, people. Good. Okay, let me stay. Can you do this? Okay. Here, right? And then tuck. Can you do that? This pelvic motion. Rocking with the pelvis. No, it's that booty. It's out of control.
That booty is out of control.
Yeah, exactly.
How did you do that?
Yeah, so that's you'll need to figure out this move because having that like type of spinal control, like it gives you a lot of options for accessing power too, right? Like if you've only got one spine position and this is it, then like again, I'm gonna keep bringing it back to sport just because there's a lot of movement in sport, right? But if I'm let's say, let's go with baseball this time. So if I'm a pitcher, okay, and if we focus in on my thorax, right? As I come off, I'm here. I'm there, changing spine position, going down, out, and then I'm casting open, and then I'm shutting the door there, right? Like, so I'm winding my force up, and then I'm like letting it uncoil. Like, that's the whole idea behind what's happening here. So my use of my thorax is a force generator for a throwing sport. But if I don't have that pelvic control, like with how I operate, then I lose force. Instead of compounding the force that I can create, I'm just dissipating it. So let's say I went into pitch and I was, right? Like there's no, like one, I killed my rhythm. And like rhythm is one of the best, like is the best way I can describe the conduction of force, right? Like, cause like really the smoothness of a baseball throw, right? Like all that connectivity and control, like that's rhythmic, right? Like this stuff, creating this level of physical awareness and connection is closer to dancing
That's what I was thinking.
and sport and rhythm than it is to just like brunt, to like, oh, hulkish, like exertion of force, right? So what I want to do is there's a lot of reasons why your abs can be shut off and you cannot have that level of like pelvic control from here. But if we can do that properly, then when even if you're running, you'll have access to this whole extra hinge that can create force. So to me, in a biomechanics assessment, I'd say like there's a red flag for a man being unable to hip flex from his abdomen, meaning you're gonna have awkward conditioning of the hip flexors, and you're gonna lose a whole hinge. You're gonna lose this in your ability to generate force as you run, right? So,
which makes sense because I do get hip pains, but to be honest with you, with how I am and how my legs are, sometimes I feel like the force that I should have, I don't. Right? I don't know if you know if that makes sense.
Yeah. So I mean, all these connections, right? The ability to connect this to this to this to this to this. If we have something that's unconnected, it's like, it doesn't matter how strong your legs are per se. if you can't connect the force from here to here.
Exactly.
Right? So if that's your connector, like I talked about, like a pitcher throwing like this, like wouldn't have the same, this effectively would be useless force, right?